Good morning again. Thank you very much for being here. This is American-Japan Society in Tokyo, and we are having experts on cybersecurity here, Professor Nakatani and BJF President Mita-san, President of Japan, and Ito-sensei, who's the defense expert and of security issues. He was a commander of system protection, and Ambassador Yanai, who's the International Law of the Sea Justice Judge of the International Justice of the International Court of Law of the Sea, and also have been the Prime Minister's advisor on security issues. And we have also Sekiguchi-san, senior staff writer of Nikkei Shimbun. So we're going to discuss three issues here. One is where we are in the world today on cybersecurity issues. For example, if you look out the window, it's blue sky, so peace and safe, and however, we don't see anything dangerous, but really, attack is happening everywhere. We don't see it, but hacking, intrusion, invasion, happening everywhere. So the very essence of this issue is invisible. As Murata-san said, it has been a big issue between China and the United States. When President Xi Jinping visited the United States, they agreed on two issues, President Obama and President Xi Jinping. One is that they agreed that governmental institutions should refrain from attacking other countries' private corporations, which for getting intellectual property rights, getting intellectual properties, I mean. The other agreement was that they would set up ministerial dialogue between the two countries. But some people thought that still there are a lot of issues left behind. It's only government to private corporations, and did not discuss quasi-government or some related government and government-related institutions going after private intellectual property rights, or they didn't, of course, talk about any government-to-government issues. For example, the United States was suing some units of Chinese military for hacking into their institutions last year. Only that was 2014, so it's quite a new phenomenon that these have been discussed. So it is still there. The second point is that they have set up a ministerial dialogue, but in 2013, when China and there was a summit between President Obama and President Xi Jinping, they agreed to set up working group, and it did not really fly because of the incident that I have just referred to in 2014. So it was one step further, but still not such a big step further, people would say. And President Xi Jinping also said in Seattle, just before going to Washington, that China has always been a victim of cyber attack. And the very essence of this issue is, in short, 4-letter words. NGEV. No one's guilty. Everyone is victim. That's my perception of the shortest. This is because, as I said, because of this invisibility. Now, there's a Italian manual of NATO, but there's a discussion of further necessity of further agreement, and there are divided views on this issue. I'd like to ask these pundits around the table, how do they see the present situation? How do they see US-China relations, or do we need more legal infrastructure on these issues, or what do we have is already sufficient? I think first, and also, how would you see this issue from national security? So I would like to start off from Professor Nakatani, and who has been the member for cybersecurity strategy of the cabinet, and is the legal authority of Tokyo University on this issue, and would go on to Mr. Ito. Professor Ito has been, as I said, a self-defense force system protection unit's commander, and now is heading directly Director of National Security Laboratory, Cybersecurity Japan. So, and then I would go on to Ambassador Yanai, who has advised Prime Minister Abe, who just received the award from BGF on the national security legislature. He submitted a report last year on how he sees this issue. And we are lucky to have a journalist here, Nikkei's Mr. Sekiguchi, who has been following these issues. So we'd like to have media point of view as well on this issue. So let's start from Professor Nakatani.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Fujisaki. My name is Nakatani, Professor of International Law at the University of Tokyo. We have to say that the cyber attacks are a real threat to the international community as a whole, and the rule of law is particularly important in the field of cybersecurity. And relating to this point as an international lawyer, I'd like to state the following three points, very briefly. First of all, about the rule making, and the second is about the Italian manual, and the third is how to address cyber attacks. First of all, some people say that rule making in the cyberspace and a new treaty to combat cyber attacks necessary. We have to be precise enough, and precisely speaking, we have to say the following. Rule making is not necessary, but clarifying the rules to be applied in cyberspace is indispensable. United States, Japan, and Western European states consider that customary international law, including the rule of the use of force, is also applied to cyberspace, and a new treaty is not necessary. This is the position of the Western government. I strongly support this position. Even if a new treaty is discussed, we have to take every care to ensure the freedom of expression and communication in the cyberspace at all times. Relating to this point, we have to respect the opinion of Mr. Frank Larouet, the special rapporteur on the freedom of expression at the UN Human Rights Council. He said that he said the following: the special rapporteur considers cutting off users from internet access, regardless of the justification provided to be disproportionate and thus a violation of Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The Special Rapporteur calls upon all states to ensure that Internet access is maintained at all times, including during times of political unrest. So we have to take care of the human rights aspects when we consider the rules about the cybersecurity and the rule to combat the cyber attacks. This is the first point. The second point is about the Tallinn Manual. Tallinn Manual 1.0 was enacted in 2013, led by Professor Michael Schmidt. And this is a Tallinn Manual, and I hope it will be a Bible for the international lawyers on cybersecurity. And now Tallinn Manual 2.0 is discussed. I myself am involved in Tallinn Manual 2.0. We expect to finish the work and publish the new manual 2.0 next year. The Tallinn Manual 2.0 project examines the international legal frameworks that applies to such cyber operations. The relevant legal regimes include the law of state responsibility, the law of the sea, the international telecommunications law, space law, diplomatic and consular law, and with respect to individuals, human rights law. Tallinn Manual 2.0 also explores how the general principle of international law, such as sovereignty, jurisdiction, due diligence, and prohibition of intervention, apply in the cyber context. We hope every government take Tallinn Manual 1.0 and 2.0 into consideration as the most useful guidelines to clarify international law on cyber operations. The third point is about how to address cyber attacks. According to international law and Tallinn Manual, which clarifies it, the victim state of the cyber attack can use against the cyber attack both conventional weapons and cyber means as self-defense, and also can use economic sanctions as countermeasures. Among these three means, conventional weapons, cyber means, and economic sanctions, it is the economic sanctions which have been and will be the main reaction against cyber attacks. In particular, the United States adopted executive order to block the financial assets of the persons who are involved in cyber attacks. I think economic sanctions, and particularly financial sanctions, will remain the main option to address cyber attacks, even if the conventional weapons and cyber means are also permissible under international law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Nakatani. I think you said that if we make and try to seek for new agreement, it could bring about some violation of freedom of expression, or which is very important human rights. And also, you said what's important is the clarify. And Tallinn Manual 1.0, 2.0 would be very useful. So government should really cling on to or adhere to it. Number three, you said as for the countermeasures, conventional measures, including, well, and you said economic sanctions would be very useful, and you cited the United States. However, there are views that if you can't really identify the proof, then these economic sanctions could be taken as unilateral measure. Yeah. And could you sort of clarify or exemplify a bit about that point?
Thank you very much. The most difficult question as to the identification of the cyber terrorists, it's very hard to identify who is the responsible for the cyber attacks. Economic sanctions has also some limitations, and it is not in some cases it cannot be applied appropriately, but economic sanctions, if some kind some circumstantial evidence might somewhat clarify the identification of the cyber attackers. It is possible for the victim government to freeze the financial asset of the wrongdoer, and the financial sanctions can be effective as a tool of economic sanctions. So this is my point.
Thank you very much. So there could be some circumstantial evidences which could lead to these measures. So let's talk about defense side. Colonel Ito, who used to head System Protection Unit of Self-Defense Force, is now on the private side, and he's still or now focusing on cybersecurity issues from private side. And can you tell us how you view the cybersecurity issues as a whole, where the world is, and rather than on how Japan would cope with it, let's go in the second round, but generally.
Thank you very much. Before I mentioned about the situation, I want to say about the just now situation on the cyberspace. Two words, I think. One is attacker is superior, and second one is that there is no rule. So one at first, at the point of the technical, internet is a very, very imperfect thing. I always say the internet, good man made it. It means internet mechanisms have no mechanisms, which means there is no bad person. So many person can trace back the attacker with the internet mechanism, but it is very, very easily to deny or fake the trace. So attacker is very, very superior to the defender or law enforcement people. This is very, very important thing, I think. And next, the point over the law, of course, you know, there is very imperfect. In the law, for example, Nakatani Sensei said, in the law of the war, or moreover, law of the world communication, there is a treaty or a law, but it is not effective, I think. Of course, technically, there is a very, very many techniques, but many countries have their own rules just now, so they cannot agree with what technique is used in internet good or not, or about the criminal law, and there is not very different laws in there. Of course, in the criminal, we know the worldwide criminal law was made some years ago, but in the case of the war or such a enforcement thing, there is no rules about such thing. So, Nakane Sensei says that Tanimaru is a good book, I think, but it is not the perfect, of course. I want to know, when I was, before I was working at the Japanese army, so I want to know about the rule when the cyber attack is in the combat. This manual said about it, but I read and I know many rules in the old days rule is used okay in cyber world, but some rules is difficult to use. Of course, I know, of course. For example, the right to fight. If you want to fight in the war, there is clearly the full right for clearly you have your weapons. The second is clearly wear the uniform, well, with a mark, or you must have a leader, or you must obey the war rules. But in the cyber world, this control is not used in the world, I think. This is a problem in the future. At last, I think in this world, technically imperfect. In the law, there is not enough rule. It is just now world situation of the cyberspace, I think.
Dr. Ito, thank you very much for a very frank account. But in short, you are saying that there's no sufficient rules and laws, and it's not possible to make that. And also, always attacker is in advantageous position.
Yes.
And if so, on this cybersecurity issues, we have to be very pessimistic.
Yes.
Is
yes.
that how?
It is true.
Yeah.
In these days, criminals win with a cyber affair.
Yes.
It is true.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Yanai, you had been the chairman of the advisory of national security legislature for Abe cabinet, and you've been overseeing these issues. Could you give your account, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, I chaired the panel of experts on the interpretation of Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution. I did it twice. Once under the first Abe cabinet, and for the second time under the second Abe cabinet. And our group presented 2 reports to Prime Minister Abe, in which we proposed that we should change the interpretation of Article 9 to the effect that Japan can exercise the right of collective self-defense, and also the right to participate, the right, or rather the obligation to participate in the collective security measures taken by the United Nations. And we propose that that change of interpretation can be done without changing the letters of Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution. As you know, in the past, the Japanese successive Japanese governments took the stand that Article 9 allows the exercise by Japan of the individual's right of self-defense, but it does not allow Japan to exercise the right of collective self-defense. But we thought that that interpretation was too narrow. So we proposed to change the interpretation of Article 9. And on that basis, after we presented the second report, Prime Minister Abe last year, he immediately took action to introduce a new legislation on the defense. And as a result, last September this year, the Diet, our Parliament, approved a series of bills that had been introduced by the government. And under the new legislation, it was approved that Japan can exercise the right of collective self-defense, although it is under certain restrictions. It opened the possibility to strengthen our relations alliance with the United States, so that we can cope with threats from outside more efficiently. So this is the very, very short history of what we done recently. As to the issues of cyber attacks, of course, these attacks are invisible and new. So we have to do many things very urgently. The issues have to be addressed both from the legal point of view and technological point of view. I must confess that I'm not an expert on cyber attacks. Perhaps my only contribution today was to invite Professor Nakatani to our group, because he is a member of the group of experts on cyber attacks in the government, and as you heard, he is very knowledgeable about these issues. I think it is very clear that there are no rules on cyber issues under international law. So there are two things we have to do urgently. One is to clarify whether there are still any rules that can be applied to the cyber issues. And also to establish, also urgently, new rules to be applied to these issues. As to international law, I think there are two ways of addressing these issues. Of course, one is to negotiate and adopt a treaty or convention. That, of course, international agreement is a very good instrument to establish rules, but it takes time. And even if an excellent convention is adopted, it takes many years before a certain number of countries ratify the convention, and before the convention comes into force. But cyber issues are very urgent, and we cannot wait years. So perhaps in this field, so-called soft law is perhaps a more practical way of approach. By soft law, I mean resolution by the United Nations, non-legal instrument to be adopted among like-minded countries to set certain rules to be applied to cope with cyber attacks. That is one thing. And of course, in this field, information, exchange of information is very, very important. And the exchange of information should cover not only information on potential attackers, but also on technologies to be used. So I think this should be addressed urgently, both with the United States and Japan, and also with other like-minded countries. I'm very encouraged by the statement by Prime Minister Abe concerning the creation of a new study group, or a group for accelerating our preparations against cyber attack. And I would like to add that cyber attacks comes both from states and non-state entities. So we have to be careful about two potential attackers. So I urge all the agencies of both countries, Japan and the United States, to accelerate the preparations, and including more enhanced exchange of information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. And you touched upon the issue that if we go for international agreement, it may take too long. So maybe it's a way to look at soft law, UN resolution, and other issues which are more practical way. However, I think Ito-san was saying that anyway, even soft law or hard law, if it's violated, it's not identified. So there are going to be many violations, and these cannot prevent that. But let's come back to that in the second or third round. And Sekiguchi-san is from the not academia, but the journalist, and has been writing on these issues as a staff writer. And I'd like to have your views, your overall views on this issue.
Well, I think, so my name is Waichi Sekiguchi, senior staff writer of Nikkei newspaper covering IT sector, almost 20 years. And I think cyber attacks issue is a significant issue for not only for the government, but also for the private sector companies. As you remember, Sony was attacked by an anonymous group in the past. Also, there are many Japanese companies were also attacked. So I would personally very pleased to hear that there's an agreement between China and the United States. Although they have not committed that, although China has not committed that everything, but they will continue to have dialogue. So, and also, cyber security issue is very important for the private sector. So I think the government started a new initiative from this year. So I think Japanese private sector or governments or companies would have to continue to work together to find a good way to resolve this kind of issue. So that's my opinion.
Are newspapers very mindful itself about being hacked, and are you sort of fortifying your guard against hackers?
Yes, yeah. So we provide a digital edition of Nikkei newspaper, online edition. So we have been also attacked by many entities, maybe from China. So security is very important for the media industry as well. So we are trying to protect ourselves, from such.
Just more and more of the newspaper information is coming out through online than papers, so I think it'd be a real important issue. Now, the second round, thank you very much for the first round. We are going to talk about Japan, and fortunate to have Professor Nakatani, who's member of the Cybersecurity Strategy Headquarters of this cabinet, and has been working on the cyber strategy. As Prime Minister Abe said, we are having Olympics, and we have a G8 summit next year, and we're going to have many big conferences or gatherings coming up, and we have to be fortifying cyber protection against cyber attacks. And if Professor can show us these sort of what kind of way are we proceeding?
Thank you very much. The Japanese government adopted the cybersecurity strategy in September. This is the cybersecurity strategy. The basic principles are the following. First of all, the assurance of the free flow of information. The second is the rule of law. The third is the openness. And the fourth is the autonomy. And the fifth is the collaboration among multi-stakeholders. I'd like to point a few points, particularly the international legal aspects about the cyber strategy. The Japanese government, as to the international cooperation, Japan advocates proactive contribution to peace in cyber space. And the stance, the government with the Japanese government can be summarized as follows. With the United States, as is provided by the new guidelines adopted in April, defense cooperation on cyberspace is also should be promoted. And with the Western European states, advanced technological cooperation in the cybersecurity should be promoted. And with the ASEAN states, capacity building in the cybersecurity should be promoted. Although strategy does not mention China and Russia as such, there are some remarks about the importance of CBM's confidence building measure. And I also consider CBMs with these states are very important. As you know, the confidence building measures are a product of Cold War, but it can also be very useful in the 21st century. And United States concluded the confidence building measures agreement with Russia in June 2013, and links between computer emergency response streams, exchange of notifications through nuclear risk reduction centers, White House Kremlin direct communication line, these were not agreed. And just recently, United States and China reached the following outcomes in the high-level joint dialogue. A guideline for combating cybercrime and related issues, tabletop exercise, hotline mechanisms, enhance cooperation on combating cyber-enabled crime and related issues. Confidence building measures are not perfect, but it has an important role, particularly to prevent the escalation of disputes or tensions arising from an intentional incident. And it is desirable for the government of Japan to conclude confidence building measures with the governments of China and Russia. This is my personal opinion. And Secondly, I would like to mention about the role of private companies in cybersecurity. Private companies, and particularly major companies, have an important responsibility to keep good performance in the field of cybersecurity, because otherwise cyber attacks against these companies will have tremendous bad impact on the society as a whole. In Japan, companies which are involved in the so-called critical infrastructure, including telecommunication, finance, air transport, railway, electric power, gas, medicine, and chemistry, chemical industry, have to take high-level measures of cybersecurity. I consider keeping good record of the cybersecurity has now become important element of CSR, corporate social responsibility. And now the Japanese government is now considering to request the private companies to establish CSAT, a computer security incident response team. And it is an important step for the strengthening of the cybersecurity. Thank you very much.
Professor Nakatani, I think you talked about the importance of CBM, confidence building measures, and you said especially it would be useful for preventing escalation in case of unintentional attacks. Now, if it's intentional and if it's invisible, as we say, still, could it be better than nothing to create an atmosphere of trying to cooperate? Can you elaborate a bit?
Thank you very much. Well, for as far as intentional incidents are concerned, CBMs are not perfect, and if we have a CBM with the counterpartner, it cannot prevent the intentional operations. So even if CBMs exist, for the intentional incident, we have to take countermeasures, or if the scale is very big, we have to take even the military option or the cyber option. But as far as the intentional incidents are concerned, CBMs can be a good tool. This is the lesson of the Cold War.
Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Ito, you've been, as I said, the commander of System Protection Unit in the Japanese Self-Defense Force, Ground Forces, and also you're now director of the Cybersecurity Grid. And can you discuss a bit about this confidence building measures, or how do you see that from defense expert point of view, or from other issues from military or defense point of view as well?
Okay. Maybe I have two hats. At first, I am a member of the Japanese security companies, laboratories and director. And second is from the commander of the Japanese Army's cyber unit. So I want to say two things. At first, about the Japanese society itself, I want to say there are many people who you are attacked by cyber, but you don't know it and yourselves. There are many people. For example, my company have some researcher, and when asked some company, how about my company's system? Maybe it's okay, but recently my system is there little terrible things and little things. So please see me it. So my company's researcher went to the company and see it, open the system, and I'll say the forensics. I say okay, research the systems. So when you are under some trouble, always they are attacked by cyber, and when our researcher checks when your company was attacked, from when? Oh, many cases 1 year ago. This is very terrible thing. You think, of course, 1 year the company didn't know cyber attack. It means 1 year stolen many information, and more terrible thing means 1 year the company didn't know means there are many other companies. Just now your company is attacked by cyber, but it didn't know it's the service. I know many cases. So we a Japanese society have a more attacked, you know, in the medias. This is my very problem in Japan. You don't know attacked. If you are, how about this improve this situation? I always say we must develop the technological system to trace back to the attacker. Just now, in the internet system, trace back to the attacker is very difficult. Otherwise, criminals deny or fake the traceback. So we must make the technological system to trace back for Japanese our service, and say all the words we use this traceback system all over the world. This is the first my mention.
You mean to identify?
Yeah. Yes, and identify.
Who was
Yes,
the attacker?
to the attacker, identify. Yes, traceback or identify. And the second, from the point of the Japanese former cyber unit commander, in Japan's security program, at first, of course, you know, we Japanese ground safety defense force can't attack other countries. Of course, it's okay, I think. But Japanese cyber unit cannot use the cyber weapons just now. We are only attacked with the cybers, only defend in the cyberspace Japanese forces. I think this is very difficult to defend because cyber is superior to, attacker is superior to the defender. So it is impossible to defend our Japanese country with Japanese self-defense force in the cyberspace. So we must make some law to fight in the cyberspace with our Japanese force, I think.
May I ask two questions, Dr. Ito? You said we have to make a law that
Yeah.
we can fight
Yeah.
with cyber attacks, but I think no country would say we have attack capability. We hear a lot about American
Yeah.
capability, but they would not say they're attacking it.
Yes.
What do you mean by making a law? Do you need a law to make a cyber attack?
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on what kind of law do we need to make a cyber attack? And is anyone in the world making a law to justify? The second question is, it's rather cynical, but your company may be providing some advices on cyber attack issue, but you yourself said always attacker is on superior, so you may provide a better shield like contradiction, shield, but the other side would prepare better spear again. So it would go on and on. And can you give me a sort of general account on that point as well? So, first issue is on the law. What kind of law is that you're talking about? Second is this contradiction issue.
First is, I think, of course, Japan is a peaceful country, so I think when Japanese army has a cyber weapon, when invaded other countries, the invaded country, invaded forces systems down, may be down by ours. So there is no broad, and but system down the army can't attack Japan anymore. So very peaceful way, I think. So just now, law about law, there is the criminal law. We Japanese self-defense force cannot make the cyber weapon just now by the law. So I want to change for self-defense purpose. We Japanese self-defense force could make the cyber weapon. I want to. Okay. Just one. Second,
You said, this is a little simple, but you always attacker is superior.
Superior, yeah.
So even if you give a good advice to companies or to give a shield, but then the other side would always bring a
Yes.
spear, so your shield is broken, and
Yes.
then you would give again a shield.
Yeah.
So it may be if I may say, good for both sides for business. How is it? Do you look at this situation?
Yes, it's a way. It's of course, chivalry is attacker, criminal attacker is chivalry than defender private company. But the attacker has their own cost and sense. For example, the private company is the benefit from the attack and then take the information, and they earn the money for 1,100 yen, but defense is very difficult. 1,000 but cost is over, then not the attack. So shield is high and high. Then they cannot close and think themselves. This is the first.
It will become very costly for attackers.
Yes. Still, of course, to the truth, it's very difficult because attack is very easy. So, usually case, it is not difficult for one country because the private country must pay the cost is difficult, the higher shield. But 2, 3, 4, and over many countries join and alliance with the defense and then make a defense shield, and the shield is very high. And one time, the shield is enough to defend. This is the one answer.
So joint exercise.
Join.
I see.
At first, join is he said the information exchange. This is the first. But second is the more practically. Attacker search the victims, and one victim, 2 victims, 3 victims, and this victim is very poor. This victim may be very high shield, so the attacker will go to poor victims. So I say my company is a guest. You must pay the cost is a little higher than poor country, a little. Don't pay the 2 or 3 times. No, not necessary. It's very little higher than other countries. This is a suggestion for the private companies.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Yara, you, coming back to what you said about soft law, is that something close to what Professor Nakatani said about CBM? Is that included?
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That includes also the CBM concept, but also I refer to resolutions which are not binding instruments, or just well, joint statement by countries. And I think, although it is very difficult to identify the attackers in the case of cyber attacks, but it is still useful to clarify international rules that can be applied to these issues. And I personally think that international law concerning self-defense can be applied to cyber attacks. Because cyber means are also another kind of weapons. So whatever the weapons is, whatever the weapon is, the rules on self-defense can be applied. But it is always useful to clarify that that kind of legal issues. And I think the first step to be taken is to illegalize cyber attacks so that countries can take countermeasures with confidence.
So you're also suggesting that within the means that we have, maybe we do not need new legislature, that we could cope with the situation.
Yeah, well, I think what I'm suggesting that the first thing we have to do is to identify what we can do within our legal framework. I mean by legal framework, both national and international. And after having identified the existing rules, and if we identify, we find that existing rules are not sufficient, then we have to make new things.
Thank you very much. Sekiguchi-san, can you tell us how you look at this, how Japan is coping with this issue? How should we work on it?
So first of all, as Nakatan mentioned earlier, so we started a new initiative for cybersecurity policy. So this is really good because in the past, we didn't have a platform to share information among governments, also private sectors, and also the organizations such as NISC was not enough powerful to control other authorities in the government. So I think this is the first step to share information. That's a very important thing because if you look back 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think Mitsubishi Heavy Industry was attacked by Chinese entity. And at that time, I tried to cover that issue, visiting Cabinet Office, also METI, but they didn't know anything about this attack. Only Ministry of Defense was aware of that because Mitsubishi Heavy Industry was thinking that they only had to report to Defense Ministry because Defense Ministry is the biggest contractor of the company. So, but since then, I think everything, since then, because of the new law, I think there's a new platform that they can share the information. So that's one thing very important. And also the other thing is that we have to get more engineers who can deal with security issues. So according to the government-related organizations such as AP, not APT, I forgot the name in English, but they said that we are lacking more than 80,000 engineers in cyber security or cyber space or cyber related technologies fields. So it's really urgent for us to educate more people so that they can work in cyberspace. So I would like to say that this country is very naive because we have been dependent on US services such as Facebook or Gmail or whatever. So if you go to China or Korea or North European nations, they all have their own security software capability and also search engine and also social media. This is the only country where we don't have search engine and social media and also security soft. So if you go to a website of Microsoft, they have a list of the security softwares which can be used for Microsoft products. And then there are 50 or 60 companies are listed there. I think there are 4 or 5 from Germany, and then maybe 6, 7 from the United States, and a few from UK or Switzerland. But I can't see any company from Japan. LAC can be one, but LAC is not providing such software. You are doing more on work or solutions. So your software is not or cannot be used for a computer, a personal computer. So in that sense, we have to get more companies which can work in this field. Trend Micro might be one, but that company was made by Taiwanese and established in the United States. So some people tend to say that Trend Micro is a Japanese, but I don't agree with that idea. So to summarize, I think we need to have a platform to share information, to share the incidents information, also to educate more engineers in the cyber fields. And also we need to have companies who can work more in this kind of activity. So I would like to say to MTT to do more work, but they are not so very active in this field. Of course, they are doing a lot of research in cryptography, also many such security-related technologies, but none of them are really launched in the real cyberspace. So that's the big problem.
That's a very important point, that we don't have any search engine or mailing system, as we are number 3 in GDP, and we have no such system. Nikkei has just bought Financial Times. Maybe it's time for Nikkei to buy Trend Micro or Google or whatever. Now, thank you for a very good discussion. Now, we'll just go to the last round at 1 or 2 or 3 minutes each, saying if you have any message to Prime Minister Abe or to Boston Globe, BGF, Governor Dukakis and Mr. Tuan, or to the general public on this issue. If Professor Napatan could start.
Thank you very much. Just one point. I'd like to emphasize the importance of cybersecurity in education, particularly in the high schools and the undergraduate level, and particularly in the faculties of law, economy, and social sciences. Cybersecurity is not the monopoly of some scientists or of the scientists. It is important for everybody, and cybersecurity has to be supported by public opinion. So I'd like to emphasize the importance of cybersecurity in education, and both the US and the Japanese government put emphasis on the cyber education. And this is what is added. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Dr. Ito, please.
I say again, we Japan is society was attacked, but many persons doesn't know it. So be aware more and more. I want to say it's my last one.
Thank you. Ambassador Yanai.
Thank you very much. We had a useful discussion this time, but this is just the start of ongoing process. The next time we look forward to hearing views from our members of the Boston Global Forum from the American side. My last message is this. I wish you a Merry Christmas and
Mr. Seki.
So I think we are now getting into the next stage of cybersecurity issues, which means that so far, internet was available for the last 20 years, and the internet has been used for media or contents business or banking, trading, that kind of things. All these things are service area, but now internet is being used for IoT, Internet of Things, so-called embedded systems. So autonomous car or self-driving cars will be available from now, and also wearable stuffs, also big data analytics, and also artificial intelligence. So those area are new area, but we need to think about cybersecurity issues in that new area. So in Japan, Japanese manufacturing system or manufacturing industry of manufacturing was very closed, so they didn't even connect their system to internet so far. That was good to protect internet, but from now we need to connect those machineries to internet to obtain the IoT stuffs. So we will have to seriously think about the cybersecurity issue in such new fields.
Thank you very much. Ms. Mita, please. Thank you very much. It was a great honor to moderate this panel consisting of the real experts of Japan, the top experts in this field, and I think you got a lot of wise advices, views. As Ambassador Yanai said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.